those bachelorettes at the gay bars, they really piss me off.
You freaking open your mouth and product comes out.
Don't come between Barton Bradley and a limeade.
Welcome to today's show on Coffee with Gays.
Coffee with Gays.
I am Adam. We have Ryan and your host, Blaine.
Blaine, cheers, guys.
In today's episode, we are talking about our chosen family.
This is actually a topic that is very near and dear to my heart in particular. I think one of the reasons that one of the organizations that I've always supported is regarding homeless youth. And I think we've talked about it on a very early episode that we probably wouldn't want you to listen to because it was when we didn't have our shit together, so to speak. But it is, I really do care about the youth in our country that, you know, have been kicked out of their homes and maybe don't have supportive families. And I think we've talked before that, you know, the three of us are very blessed to have very supportive families that are supportive of us being gay and living our lives. But so many people don't have that. And I think, you know, the concept of chosen family is really important in our community because of people that don't have supportive families. But then I also think, you know, for us, it's an important topic because, you know, there's a whole like kids and, you know, like how we live our lives and partners.
Chosen family means it's the people that you choose to be a part of your family. So take out all the actual people who are related to you, and it's the people who you want as basically your close family. And, you know, I know this from experience because I moved to Dallas only knowing maybe 5 people, and then I had to go through and meet friends and find who my close friends were. And if you look at who I started to be friends with when I first moved here to who now are my close friends, you weed through a lot of people to find the good people, even if they try to beat your ass and home assassin.
But why did you, as a gay man, come here and have to find a group of people? I think that's what really differentiates kind of our experience from the straight experience, so to speak, because let's say you were a straight man of your age. Most likely you would have had a wife and 2 kids and you would have moved here. And guess what? Put them in school, right? And then all of a sudden you would be in PTAs and you would do that. And I think, Ryan, you said something like you come into work and what?
Like you come in, say on a Monday morning, you got that small talk, starting a meeting conversation. Oh, how was your weekend? And a lot of people are like, you know, I took my kids to this or that, or we went to that tournament. And, you know, like I can't relate to that at all, you know, and I think of that meme that's just really funny that I think a lot of like gays could relate to this. But, you know, a meme when it's like at the office, when it's like, how was your weekend? And you're like, oh, you know, just really low key, saw a few people, maybe went to a brunch. And then in the background, like the reality is like, we're out like, woo, you know, partying, we're at all the concerts, parties, whatever. And like, but you have to just kind of portray it because I can't relate to the, you know, I took my kids to soccer and whatever. And I know that can be, you know, a straight couple, gay couple, but still, like, it just seems like majority.
That's majority, especially our age. I think like it's definitely makes our lives very different.
Most gay people don't have a partner with kids and all that stuff where their lives are tied into that. So we go out and we get friends. We have friends as, you know, we're big with Friendsgiving. Mm-hmm. Like we've done that before where everybody calls in because people are all from different areas of the, you know, the United States and they don't fly back for Thanksgiving as much. So somebody will say, hey, we're going to do Friendsgiving, and everybody will come over, and that's the friends.
You know, my Friendsgiving is like the most popular event.
You know,
actually, last year it was so popular, I had to have like 3 of them.
Actually, I don't know about that because I've never been invited.
Oh my God. I think you were invited last year. I don't think you were here, in all fairness. I think you were somewhere else during one of the Friendsgivings because I'm almost positive you were invited for sure. But I did have multiple Friendsgivings. I did. And this year you'll definitely be invited and we'll have another 3 or 4 of them.
Well, I would like to RSVP as a maybe.
But you're also such a good cook, and I cook all my old family recipes, my Southern recipes. Love it.
So that's why you're inviting me, so that I can cook for you too.
No, you just like to cook just like me, and that's what I love about Friendsgiving. You bring like your recipes from your old days. You're invited, and I'll just put you down as a maybe. We'll see which one you get invited to, the popular one or the not so popular.
The leftover Friendsgiving day.
In all fairness, okay, my place isn't huge. I can't just have 40 people here. So I have to create groups within a group. You know, you got group A, B, C. And I don't think it's bad. I think it's a great segue kind of into the kind of differences in groups and how you kind of categorize, you know, the friend group.
I have different friend groups from like what ours. I would say that our friend group is the core of my friends.
And the favorite.
Let's not push it. I have different like friend groups with different things. Like there's a friend group back at home, and there's like even here in Dallas, I have some different friend groups. But it just depends on what I'm doing, and I don't merge them. And I think it's because I think that they would clash, and I've tried to merge some of them, and they do clash.
I saw a TikTok about this the other day. They were like friend group A at the birthday party and friend group B, and A was like the fun girls, and then friend group B was all sitting there all in all black, like, and they looked really boring. We would have been a part of A. The person was friends with both groups, but they were both on either side of the table, and I was like, yeah, that's definitely how that goes.
When you're the ones that are sitting back, you definitely have to look at it and be like, well, now I know why I'm not invited to a lot of parties.
By the way, I'm always in friend group A. I'm in the fun one. Always. Like when you're in a merged friend group situation, I always feel bad for them.
I think I'm in the C.
No,
you're the C group.
First of all, I could totally see you melting into the background of any event, dinner, whatever.
I'm the type of friend that if you don't invite me, I'll just invite everybody else that was there to a party that I'm going to have and not invite you.
Oh, now we know.
Is that what the pumpkin party was? I was invited to the pumpkin party, though, so.
Who wasn't invited to the pumpkin party?
I didn't know. I didn't know other people.
Don't feel special.
Okay, good. Well, I didn't go, girl. So there's that. But yeah, so I think we have different like types of friend groups, and I think we also have different types of friends within the group too.
So you have the ringleader. You have the person that brings everybody together, which I find that the most exhausting. I've been that before, and I'm not that with us. It's the most exhausting thing.
You couldn't be. You're way too disorganized, and you're late all the time.
Like, I feel like I'm more of the ringleader in a different group, but I'm not in like this group. So, I mean, it's different roles within different friend groups.
Yeah, you're really good at planning stuff too. Like you plan a lot of trips. You're like, what is your other group that you're like ringleader of?
The AMC A-List Club.
Oh yeah.
I'm obsessed with, I know they don't sponsor us yet, but I am obsessed with the AMC Stubs A-List.
Yeah.
12 movies, up to 12 movies a month for $20 a month. And like, I didn't see movies before. People are like, oh my God, I never see like that many movies. Well, I didn't either until I had $20 a month.
So what I will say is that group, the AMC group, is your couples club. Now that you're with Bradley, and it's all the cute couples. And then
there's the pool party group, slightly newer group that's in development.
Yeah, right.
Then there's a few past connections from like a past friend group that kind of merged to the pool party group.
Ryan's really cool.
He's got all these hidden fucking groups.
He does.
You know,
I didn't think of it like that. And then now that we're talking about it, maybe it is.
Why it's so hard to schedule him for coffee with gays, because he's always like got all these different things.
Either seeing a movie, taking a back swim, you know.
No, it's true. It's true. So we got these pool parties, and we got the movie nights, and we got all that stuff.
But the thing, I never went, and I feel like I try to make it a point. Like, I don't like to think of it as like I'm busy, or I don't ever want to be like, oh, I'm too good to hang out with you or whatever. Like, I just want to make plans to be intentional about like seeing whoever I'm trying to be with.
You're just a social butterfly.
I'm over at home knitting a skirt. Like, this is great. You know,
you're busy. You're over there, I don't know, doing electrical and applying to be a lineman.
Yeah. You wouldn't go out anyway on most of those times anyway. I couldn't actually keep up with how much you do things. It's too much for me. I'm very satisfied with how much our group does.
So what's funny with chosen family that I always laugh about is like social cues. So for me, coming in from outside of Dallas and meeting people, I had to, and everybody who knows me and everybody who's been listening, I am a type A personality. I'm very loud and overwhelming.
You're loud? No.
Overwhelming?
And overwhelming, overbearing.
Anywho, so what I was saying is, when I first came here, I had to be very reserved. I know you're looking at
How did you do that? Was it
I put a fucking cork in my mouth and was like, shut up, sit down, and hold on, because you need to see all the dynamics. And that's one of the things that I will say this, I'm good with. I can sit back and watch the dynamics of a group and see who I can jive with. So, like, nothing against you, but if it was like 5 or 6 of us here, I would adapt to Blaine because I know Blaine's louder than me, so I'm not going to be the most obnoxious one here.
You're such a bitch.
Take him to pull him on my side and then squirm into like you and like the other group that I know is more of like the quieter ones.
Yeah.
But they're the quiet, hot ones. Well, those are the deadly ones. You really have to get in with because they're, they could be the real bitches. Little do you know, though, he's actually the nicest one of the group. Every time that you go into a new group, it's strategizing. Like, how do you, first of all, do you want to be in that group? So you have to sit back and watch that group to go, do you want to be a part of that group? And then how do I fit into that group? And then you have to slowly let your personality come out. It's the same way with dating. Dating's the same way. But you got this is like, who are the players? Yeah. Really? Who's the king and the queen of the game of chess? Yeah. Like, that's the way it is. You have to look and see who are the ones that you need to be the closest to make sure that you can survive in this friend group and not get squashed. Yeah. So funny story about our group, because we just talked about like the different stereotypical types of the planner and the daddies of the group, basically. So, I met Ryan at a bar here in Dallas, and all my friends originally from Dallas when I moved back here, they're all like straight, married, kids. And, I was hanging out with them, but we just don't have the same lives. I was like dying to make gay friends here. Right. And like, it's just like kind of hard. I mean, really. And so like, I ended up meeting a friend out at a bar and I met Ryan and we had some great talks about California and he was super nice. And he was with our friend Rennell. And I thought Ryan was the queen bee of the group. Because, Ryan's like, Holly's got this ridiculous outfit. You had that see-through floral thing on. And then Ryan's like, oh, yeah, let's go back to your place. I was like, oh, yeah, you guys can all after party at my place. I got a black SUV to impress everybody. And Rennell goes, no, we're not going with him. And I was like, oh, so then I got in the black SUV by myself and I was like, okay, no big deal. Then we went to brunch like 2 weeks later. And that's when and then he invited me to a party at Rennell's house. And I was like, you know what? I got it. Rennell he's the queen bee. He's the one that plans. And I am going to go. Yeah, I'm going to bring more freaking food to his freaking Halloween party to win him over. And I brought homemade food to his Halloween party. He didn't notice and he didn't like me. And now that we're very close, we actually talk about this. And he's like, I wondered why you were even at my house that day. I didn't even know that Ryan invited you. Then I show up a few months later, because I'm not invited to the all-powerful Christmas party, obviously. Didn't get that invite. That Christmas party is... So our friend Rennell has a Christmas party, and it is insane. It's at his house. He probably has, 150, 160 people there. Has food, has bartenders, has everything. I didn't know. I didn't get an invite to that. So I showed up at the Super Bowl party, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make my famous funeral sandwiches. If you don't know from the South, you have got to make a funeral sandwich. What is a funeral sandwich? And a funeral sandwich is basically you take those King's Hawaiian rolls and then you stack them with ham traditionally and Swiss cheese, and then you make this mixture of Worcestershire sauce and Dijon mustard and poppy seeds and brown sugar, and you pour in butter, obviously butter, and you pour it all over the top. You let it marinate overnight. And then you put them in the oven when you get to your party, and then they get really sticky and gooey and awesome. It sounds like a heart attack. It is a heart attack, and I was so nervous to bring it to a Super Bowl party with a bunch of gays. I mean, doesn't matter. Gays and food is really tough because you get our group will eat. Really? We don't care. But there are other gays where you could have a pool party and you could lay out food
and they won't touch a fucking thing. But that damn bar will be dry as shit.
Just make it. We were talking about like the pool friends. Yeah. They had food set out. No one was touching the food table. I was like, I'm hungry. I don't care. I'm going to that. Me and Bradley made a plate. We're having chips and salsa. He's getting cookies. He loves his sweets. But none of the.
And it's usually the people will sit there and be like, all right, who's going to go up to the table first?
Who's going first to get the food? Yeah.
This group had no problem, and I saw those funeral sandwiches going like this. And by the way, I brought them in my Le Creuset, my best bakeware. Okay, and I was hauling these seriously Trader Joe bags out of the Uber like this. I also brought multiple handles of tequila and vodka. Like I was there to give sacrifices, and I brought all of this shit. And I also, because I knew Renault was Indian, I was like, I bet you he doesn't eat ham. And he said, oh, do these have ham? And I said, I made you a turkey one.
Damn, you really did your homework.
And I've been in ever since that party, and it impressed him. But you know what? I don't mind knowing him today. I'm glad I did all that because he's so giving to everybody else. And he's so that person. Like I would do that anyway. But I'm glad I showed him who I was as a person, like with that. But I mean, I was going to do it. But like, I don't blame him for being picky. He's got a lot of friends, right? And I think the people that we don't choose aren't, they just kind of expect to just get in and not do anything special.
So that's the funny part about it all. This is I sit there and if I can give any advice to somebody who's, just coming out or, just trying to get a new group of friends, take your personality and hold your personality back, but make sure you're a very giving person because gay people love subtle, sweet people. Like people who are very nice, genuine, and sweet, but subtle, they love. My personality is not subtle. So that's why I have to tone that back. And go a little bit, like you said, go a little bit over the top and make sure because the worst people that we don't like are people who show up with,
You can say it. You can say it. No, you can say that.
A half a cup of baked beans and an off-brand soda.
Yeah.
And to the group. If you want to be a part of that group, and this doesn't mean just from the beginning until you get in, it's throughout the party. Carry your weight. Carry your weight with your family. Because your family will turn on you just like any other family will. Make sure you carry your weight. Don't be the one that's dragging ass behind everybody. And being the anchor that everybody else has to carry. You don't want to be that person because then nobody wants to be around you. And it's sad to say it, but it's the truth.
Also, if you see people showing up and they're always bringing something, like, Brennell has a bar. Michelle, our friend, she did that amazing pride party for us that I recently posted. Like her husband makes the best food, literally. Amazing food. Like, first of all, she should not have to give us our booze. I mean, Brian brought an entire cooler.
But think about it this way. So our friend Michelle, who is a straight woman, and she is amazing. She loves us. She's just great to us. She threw us a pride party, and it was probably 30 of us. Yeah. Okay. It took her probably the day before all morning to set up. I guarantee you they spend just on food. I guarantee you $200, $300 on food.
Oh, probably more.
And then how much on alcohol she spent. And then they had to clean up the next day. Like we tried to do small stuff to help her clean up, but she bent over backwards. So it's things like that when you come to a party, you spend, if it's cost you $40 or $50, spend that money because it's a really nice gesture to the person that's hosting the party that you want to be a part of that group to say, hey, I appreciate what you did. It's the social cues, knowing where you are, what you're doing, and make sure that you have value to add to the friend group.
I used to host all the after parties back in my younger years.
Sex parties?
No, okay. I just had degenerate friends when I was 20s, and it was just literally people like dancing and drinking until the early morning hours. But I would always front the booze, and it got to the point I was getting really mad because these people that I didn't even know would just show up, and I would be like, trying to be nice. And people would just bring people to my place. And, I'd had that same place for a very long time downtown. And it'd be like, oh, we're going to Blaine for the after party. And there'd sometimes be like 30 plus people at my place. So I started filling my Grey Goose bottles and stuff with like this super cheap pop off. Well, because it just was getting super crazy. I'm like, I don't know any of these people. So then, of course, all the cheap people that don't even know me, they're coming and trying to drink the expensive shit.
Yeah. So let's take this for instance. So imagine you being a party host, right? And somebody coming into your party, and you've got two different people here. You've got the person that walks in and says, hey, thanks for the invite to the party, and goes off into the party. Or you have that other person that says, hey, thanks for inviting me. Here's a bottle of liquor. I appreciate it. Boom. There's a connection.
Love that person.
You love that person. And then you, as the host, you go, I want to know more about this person. Mm-hmm. And that's the same way with chosen family. Like, you want to bring your best A game to that chosen family. You want to be remembered by those people. And you want somebody to be like, I want them to like me. Let me get my foot into the door. It's the same way with jobs. Like, put your best foot forward at the beginning of the race. Like,
it is like a job, isn't it? It's like, I was thinking that it's like a job interview.
Yeah, put your best foot forward, and then once you're in, you got to build that rank to be able to sit back and be like, I did this. I don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah. No, I think, that's the point. Because I focus on like chosen family. You're choosing to be there, vice versa. They're choosing like, do I want to keep you around? And just like I can let you in, I can get rid of you.
Yeah.
We had a fun guest at, I hope they don't listen, but we had a fun guest at your house party. Remember when you had that fun 90s party? And they actually did the opposite, which I think we should also talk about, where you go almost too above and beyond. I mean, I think there were gifts and there were things brought, right? Did he bring stuff? Did you go to the 90s party that Brian hosted? I was wearing my overpriced George Michael shirt that my stylist Whitney friend made me buy. And it was very cute. I had brought this guy that I had met.
Well, that's the first one.
No. Not a boyfriend, first of all. I'm going to be like Adam waving his finger. Adam, can you wave your finger like you normally wave your finger? He's got Adam finger wave. Every time I edit a video, I'm always like this. It's just Adam waving his finger. No, I brought this guy that I had met literally a day, I think, before, right? It was maybe a day before. And I met him through another girlfriend of mine. And he basically kind of invited himself to go to Roundup, our bar here that we go to in Dallas. It's like our favorite bar. And Brian and Brad and a bunch of people were at Roundup. And I was like, okay, come meet my friend. And then kind of showed up.
Singular? Friend?
What? My friend and my friends. I was like, yeah, come meet my friends. And it was actually a new gay in Dallas. This is a great topic. New gay in Dallas. And I was like, okay. And it was kind of weird because it kind of got, it was like I didn't expect, and I thought there were more people coming with us, but it was just the two of us. And I was like, okay, like maybe he's interested in me or something. But then come to find out, you guys had this conversation, and he like, he like gave you his number. Yeah. And he knew.
What?
Yeah. He knew that this is a nice one.
You?
As a friend, like he was new in Dallas, we were hanging out. He seemed like a cool guy. I met him through Blaine. So basically he was like vetted through Blaine.
Well, everybody, and this is the joke to this day, thinks I vetted this person. Okay. And I literally had just met him, spent maybe an hour and a half. My friend that had introduced me got drunk and left. And so like then I'm just stuck with this person and I don't really know him either. And all of a sudden he's giving Ryan his number, texting him, text me the next night or the next morning. And I didn't text him back because I was like, I just didn't get the vibe. I was just kind of thought the vibe was like a little off for me, in my opinion. And I was like, I'm going to text him later because I don't want him to ask what I'm doing this afternoon. And then maybe him and I can hang out again before I introduce him to my friend group. Because we were all going to the Ivy that day.
What the fuck is this?
So this is the night of Ryan's party. So I wake up, I see the text. I'm like, we're going to the Ivy Saturday morning. So we're going to the Ivy. And then Ryan has his 90s party that night, which is like a bunch of people coming.
We know where we were that morning, though. Where I was that morning, not at the Ivy.
Where were you that morning?
I was at Katie Trail Ice House, and I'd already had his number. So I invited him to Katie Trail.
But this is my point. I didn't know any of this. So I show up at the Ivy. I had ignored said text from this new friend because I'm deciding I'm going to try to meet new person later.
Well, in that aspect, you have to figure out if you want him to be around everybody.
Exactly my point, right? I didn't know that he had given his number to Ryan.
Let me be a mediator of this. So the guy went around and texted Ryan to probably in his head go, I'm going to weasel my way into this, however he could. And Ryan, not knowing this, said, okay, well, come to this party tonight. And sidelined Blaine in this, which I can tell you right now for anybody that's listening, anybody that's even thinking about it, do not do that. It'll burn. Because if you think that people in that group, that friend group, hooked on phonics word for me. That friend group, I'm telling you, they talk. And when I mean they talk worse than schoolgirls do, and they will find out. And as soon as they know that you're one of those goddamn sneaky ass people, they will cut you out faster than you can even sneak in.
And I got to tell you what happened. When I showed up at the Ivy, Adam, I did not know that they had been at Katie Trail Ice House in the morning. And I showed up and there he was sitting because I did not answer his text. The literal shock on my face with the rest of the friends. I was literally in shock. And you have to think, from my perspective, I hadn't texted him back. Mainly woke up slightly hungover. Was like, I don't want to text him because I have a big day today I'm going to go to Ivy. I'm going to go to Brian's party and I don't want to invite him because I don't know if I like him.
Blaine is looking at this guy going, you sneaky ass bitch. You sneaky ass went around me to get invited to this party. And I'm telling you, that is the worst way to do it because you may be invited to that first party, but you would never get invited to that second, third, fourth, or whatever more. It's the worst. You need to be reserved. And your main artery, who would have been Blaine in that situation, you have to stick with that main artery and you have to go through that. Because if you go out around, you're going to get shortcut.
It's good advice. Like, I stayed with Ryan the original time. And then I also made it a point, which I felt like in this situation was fair. Like, Ryan and I kept hanging out, even though, like, Reno wasn't inviting me to his parties, like, or he was not, I didn't get a Christmas party, right? Like, it wasn't like Ryan was forcing an invite to the party. Like, Ryan and I kept hanging out the whole time. Like, I was building a relationship with Ryan, then getting those invites to the party. In this situation, it was like, let me go behind everyone's back. Then, mind you, by the time we get to the Ivy, he's already given his number to the accountant, to all of our other friends, and he's hanging all over them. They're like drunk. And I was sitting there so fucking livid, I could barely see straight. And then I said to Ryan, did you, and no, because he left and he goes, okay, girls, I'm going to go freshen up and I'll see you at the party. And I go, Ryan, did you invite him to your party? And he said, yes. And I was like, no.
It is the biggest mistake that I don't know about straight people, but gays do.
This was less than 24 hours.
I see this.
Less than 24 hours.
But I see this happen so much. You cannot wedge yourself into a friends group like that because here's the thing: you have to stay true to who you know in that friends group first. So Blaine was the first person that he knew. He should have never have reached out. Like if it was me that you introduced to the friend group, I would never veer from you. It would always be going through you until the outside people came to me and said, "Oh my gosh, let me get your number." And that's after.
Did he ask you for your number? He did, right? You didn't say, "Let me give you."
I don't think asked for some. I mean, I don't remember specifically, but I remember like talking, and it was before. I don't know. I feel like AIDS lifestyle. Like he made sure like things were coming up, and he was like felt like he was very supportive. Like, oh my God, you guys are raising money for AIDS Life Cycle, and it was all these things that I was like, and in my head, I'm thinking, okay, met him through Blaine. It's Blaine's friend, and then he's supporting AIDS Life Cycle, and so it's like this easy.
So then we get to the party. Yeah. Okay, and by the way, and Ryan had been planning this for a bit, and we all came on point to this party. We were dressed for the 90s. It was like really on point, and it was a really fun party. So this one shows up, and in all his glory, and he was loud, obnoxious, overly, like completely wasted. I think maybe high too. I don't know. But like it was an epic meltdown. I mean, the most epic meltdown you've ever seen in your entire life. This was it. And then actually started dancing in a very awkward way, like break dancing. Was it break dancing?
I don't know, because I was wasted at that point.
So this all goes back to it's a job. Like you're going on like a job interview, and now that you're in the group and you've got the job, doesn't mean that you can go to the board meeting and take control. You have to sit back and you have to watch the dynamics of the group and slowly build. I mean, again, I have a very strong personality. I did not come into this group of friends kicking and screaming. I hope I didn't.
I met you at the birthday party for Mr. Hare, and I thought you were the nicest person in the world.
It was Reynolds' birthday party, and he threw it. Our friend threw it for him at his house, and I was still trying to win this friend over to try to keep this guy into my corner and like date him. I was doing anything and everything possible to date him. And this is where it goes to knowing your arteries, knowing who to like stay with and whatnot. Now, I had been in the friend group for probably 6 months.
I think it was
8 months? Yeah. Okay, so 8 months. So I stayed up all night.
Since numbers.
I stayed up all night knowing that I had to bring my absolute A game. I baked Reynolds a homemade birthday cake that I was scared shitless it was going to taste like shit. I didn't pay. I made a charcuterie board, and I spent $350 on the charcuterie board. Like, I made the biggest charcuterie board, and we'll post a picture of this thing because it was freaking awful.
It was really nice.
And went full force in this. I did everything possible to make the homeowners, like, I was like, I'll clean, I'll do whatever I can. I was way over the top with it. And I know that.
Okay, if I have a video of your speech, which I think I might, I will post it now. If I don't,
because you would have thought I knew Reynolds for years.
I literally, because was kind of, I was new as well. Like I said, this was my first party where Ryan wasn't there. So I didn't have my little buddy to like take me around. And it was a really large party. I had to like get to know.
There's probably 50, 60 people.
There's a lot of people, big place. And so I do think I filmed it, and I was like, wow, this guy and him have just, I'm pretty sure I have the filming of it. It is, that speech was, and so I had no idea it was all because you were trying to date somebody.
The whole speech was because I felt bad that nobody was going to say anything. And I was like, somebody's got to say something about Reynolds. Reynolds does so much for us. And I mean, I'm talking like, Reynolds, I can't say enough good stuff about Reynolds. Like I'm gonna get teary-eyed. Fuck.
You can give your real speech now.
I absolutely love Reynolds. Like, I love him. Like, he's so genuine. He's so giving. He's so nice. And like, he's just so warm. And like, anything I've ever gone to Reynolds about or anything like that, he's opened his arms to me, and he's like, look, just I'll help you with whatever. And like, I absolutely I'm crying. I absolutely, like, I give Ronald the most shit ever, but I would take a bullet for him. Like, I absolutely love him. Like, he's amazing. God, I'm crying.
No, let it out.
So you
let it out.
actually really did give him the birthday party for
And that was the thing, is, like, it was the birthday party, and I sat there and I was like, somebody's gotta say some really good words about him. And I had only known Ronald for maybe 10 months, and Ronald, like, already had, like, a huge impact on me. And, like, I was just like, this is, like, an amazing person. And for whoever marries that motherfucker, like, if you do him wrong, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, he's like the most amazing person. And that's what I love is there's like, I love these connections. And I love you guys the same way, by the way. Hence why I gave you my loving book and wrote very heartfelt things. And I'm not a heartfelt person usually.
It's where, like, our gay families are so tight. Like, we have each other's backs. Like, we will do anything for anybody. Like, but you've got to know how to get into that group and just how to make sure that you're not overbearing. Even though, I will say this again, I'm a very over-the-top person, but, like, know how to be that puzzle piece of the family and how to be, like, that key space.
I think, like, to your point, I think it's all about us being there for each other. And, like, Ryan's been there for me, like, a ton. I mean, I think we've been there for each other. I had, like, a moment, actually, I had a crying moment with Ryan the other day, which I normally do not do. At the Pride party, I had, like, a little breakdown because we do have these bonds with each other that like, I really do love you, and I really think, like, and I do thank you for bringing me into this group and being, like, my advocate, and you know, all of us just, I think, support each other so much, and I'm glad that, you know, I finally got in. I had to, like, really.
When did you get in?
I told you, when at that, it was literally the Super Bowl and the funeral sandwiches that did it.
Was that before or after me?
That was after you. I was right on the heels of you. Yes. So my first invite was Reynolds' birthday party, and Ryan wasn't there. Okay. So that was my first party without Ryan's presence, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And, like, it was an intimidating party because there's 60 people there,
There's a lot of people
and I didn't know everyone, and that's when I started meeting, like, all the other people. And that probably was great that Ryan wasn't there because I was able to just be myself, and I knew enough people, and then Reynolds easy, but, like, it was his birthday.
I'm so sad. I do not remember you being there.
You're such a dick.
I really don't.
You were too busy showboating.
So you do know that's where I met my boyfriend.
Because I just thought you had been, like, a part of this thing for a decade. Exactly. And I thought I find it funny now because it was kind of my first big party with, like, a lot of the people. And then you were, like, just so, like, in it. And you had just been in it only a little bit of time. Yeah. But it's interesting because you can become that close that quick.
If you put in the work and you bring the right things, you can get locked into a family. And I'm telling you, the gays, it's so many times I've heard that Dallas is such a hard city to, like, meet people and, like, be in, like, it's so cliquey. The way that I want to explain it is it's not cliquey. It's that they will grasp onto the people who are good around them, and they will hold them tight and lock them down. And is it a little hard to get into? It's a little bit hard, and you do have to do your homework and put forth the effort. But once you're in, they will fight tooth and nail for you, and that's the chosen family that you want.
No, I was trying to. I do think those some people are not great, and maybe you can't.
I mean, trust me, like, I've been through a lot of people where, and I have a friend that's going through this right now where he's like, I can't meet people. You have to go out there to meet good friends. You have to meet as many people as you can. And then you go from there. Even the first 5 people that you meet may not be good people, but the people behind them or the people behind them may be the people that you want to be friends with. And you go through it, and it sounds horrible to say that you pick and choose, but you pull the good people out of the aspects of, you know, what you're in, and you get those good people and you put them behind you. So it may be a group of 10 people, and you're like, you know what? Only one of these people is good, and you start hanging out with them. but it may be their friend's friend that's actually a good person, and you start gravitating to them. You don't want to burn the bridges that got you there, but you can cross those bridges in a nice way to get to the good pieces that you want in your life. But here's what I say, because my friend is like, I can't meet anybody. And I'm like, you won't even cross a bridge. So if you're not going to cross a bridge, you're not going to try to go out and meet people, nobody can help you. You have to go through and meet I don't want to say the bad people, but the people that you're not going to be as close with to get to the people that you're going to be close with. I didn't walk into Dallas and go, bam, here's Reynold. Boom. This is it. This is one of my best friends. Let's go.
And I think this is a great point because I think sometimes people I love my mother's saying, friends for a season, friends for a reason. And I think this is probably one of the biggest things that we struggle with, and kind of our, like, another good segue on this, is sometimes, like, we have friends that, like, we thought were good, and then we thought about our core, or part of our core crew, I should say. But then, they just aren't really good for us anymore, or we've just drifted apart. I believe Ryan has an experience like that.
Well, you've been telling me that, the last few months, reminding me of that.
Yeah, because I lost a very good friend that I stayed with during the pandemic, and letting him go was the hardest thing I ever did. I did this hypnotherapy thing and this whole spiritual journey, which I've said about. But I during that process, I let go of our friendship, and I cried and I let it all out. But because of that, I was able to open space for you all. Like, if I had still been friends with him, no way. He was way too possessive for me to be friends with anybody else. He would have talked shit. He would have done all this stuff. Same, right? Mm-hmm. And you just went through this.
I almost don't like to admit it, but there's probably still a little bit of me getting over it and through it, even though I know it's like what's best, but there's like, sometimes tends to be that, like, why are we clinging on to holding on to maybe that person or that friendship? If I gave it my all, I gave it my best, I did what I could. There wasn't that back and forth mutual, and fell apart. It's done. So, got to move on. But there's still something that's like, and why do I do that, right? Like, trying to, like, get an explanation or get a ending to that, when I just maybe need to accept that there is not going to be one.
I mean, your closure should be that there is no closure, and that, that person is clearly just selfish.
And I've had it.
And it's same for relationships, right?
Come on, remember, do it again.
So, good word of advice, right? Okay, every friendship that you go through, don't take the bad from it, but take what you learn from it. So even if it was the bad part of it, you learned something from that. Take that and use that to build on to better friendships. And you can use that in friendships and in relationships, but take the good and the bad, understand what went through it, what happened, so that you don't repeat the bad things, and take what you learn from it and move it on to a new friendship. That's the best thing to do.
I agree, because that energy that you're giving to that person could go to someone better that actually fulfills your life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't, like, I don't know, shoot fireworks off in your house. And
but you will always look back and go, I went through this for this. So always remember that.
And I mean, there's kind of, like, I know, right? Like, none of us are, like, perfect all the time. Like, everyone has their mistakes, but, like, can you be friends that, like, recognize and own up to things and talk through it, and, like, how can we move forward in a healthy way? Like, those are the people that you're going to keep.
And that's actually a good point, because you always want to be able to listen to your friends' issues and what your friends think about. And I'm talking politics, religion, whatever it is. If you want to be a good friend, open your ears and shut your mouth. Listen. Just listen and understand where they're coming from, even if you don't respect it. Just listen.
Well, I think what you're saying is respect it, but
some people just need an ear. Yeah. They don't need input. They just want to talk and just have an ear. And I can tell you, if you're a person who just listens, you will get way further than anybody else. I don't listen.
I think you listen, actually. I think you talk a lot, but you also listen sometimes, deep down. We know it. We know it deep down.
This is a good episode.
For sure. I think this is a good episode. You know, my hope, and I've wanted kids, obviously, most of my life. But I think I'm kind of getting to the point now that I'm almost 40 that I'm probably not going to have them. And my hope is that, you know, this chosen family of mine will take me to the end of life. I just went to my grandfather's 90th birthday, and it just makes me think, like, you know, when I'm 90, like, actually has a lot of friends. And I'm like, you know, I think that that's impressive. And I don't know a lot of people like that, especially in the straight community. And I'm like, oh, I really hope, you know, to have a lot of great people around me as I grow older. And so that's kind of my hope for this chosen family. Adam, will you be around me this long?
You're going to outlive my ass.
I know Ryan well.
Blaine's going to be 90. I'm going to be 42. And
girl, if you don't wear some sunscreen, you're not going to live much longer, girl. Like, Matthew sent me that video of him peeling off your skin after that pool party. It was not good. Peeling skin. Gross. We need to get you some sunscreen because that melanoma is real. Yes. Please wear sunscreen, everybody. It's important. That is super important. But yeah, I think this is a really good episode, and I love you guys, and I'm glad we're all a part of our chosen family.
Chosen Family podcast.
Cheers!
Cheers to coffee with gays.
Tune to us next time when we talk about the Gen Zs.
The Gen Zs. Well, it's really millennial and Gen Zs. Since we are in ourselves, you are technically millennial. I like to call myself an elder millennial, so I think it's an interesting discussion. And
a good one.
I think it's a good, very one.
Yeah. So on YouTube, Spotify, you know, the usual. Subscribe everywhere, listen and watch. So we'll see you next time every Wednesday.
Cheers.
Cheers.